Hola, somos agentes de cambio. I have invited today Dr. John Kennelly. He's a professor at the University of Alberta, a previous dean, and now he's the president of the Global Confederation of Higher Education and Research in Agriculture that has a group of about 900 universities in this confederation from all over the world. Dr. Kennelly, it's a pleasure to have you back in our program. Thank you for being with us. I remember that in the previous presentation that we had, the discussion, you mentioned the importance of the leaders in the world, that they are people that have gone to higher education, most of them. And also you mentioned that education is the greater equalizer that we have. Now I have two doubts. If we really are given equal opportunities to students to come to universities, if really they all have the same opportunity, and second, if we are forming those leaders that the world has or needs to have. And I think, and I'm just going to say a last thing, I'm asking this because I feel that many capable kids cannot get to college, and maybe they could be also great leaders. But also as we're forming leaders, there is more than science that you have to teach. Now you are the president of the Global Confederation of Universities. Am I saying that something wrong, or what do you think about? I mean, it's a question.
Yeah, well, obviously the world has got many problems, and you could argue that sometimes instead of getting better, like if we look at nutritional security, environmental sustainability, you would think if we're doing such a great job at universities, we maybe should be solving more of these problems. So you're right, the reality is that we are not having as much impact as I think we should have. And your university that you were president of for 28 years, I mean, it's a great example of where you have taken the time, first of all, in selecting the students from around the world, often students that could not have an opportunity to attend university, but also in your curriculum and in your university, you have provided students with the kinds of environment, hands-on experience, where they're actually out there from the time they begin their education, solving real-life problems. And because you have proven that that results in students who make a difference back in their home country and in the world, we have decided that we have decided to take a close look at your approach, and we're actually trying to replicate it elsewhere, not necessarily taking what works in Costa Rica and doing exactly the same thing, but the principles, the principle of students being involved in experiential learning, the importance of values, the importance of ethics, taking those principles and giving them entrepreneurship, etc., taking those things and actually putting them in practice, adjusted to the environment at other universities. So you have actually inspired us to take that approach, and the project that we're working on right now is trying to apply on a much more global scale, starting with Mexico and Haiti, the things that you have been doing actually for the last quarter of a century.
Well, thank you for your comments about Earth University. But, you know, we have been sometimes questioned by our methodology, and we do have research. We were the first university in Latin America that had research on the space shuttle. But when we talk about evaluation of faculty, we take into consideration very strongly the teaching. But it seems that I feel that that's like a barrier for the faculty in the universities around the world, that no matter how good you teach, it depends on your peer review papers. So do you think that we can have a more balanced way of evaluating and promoting faculty so that we pay attention to teaching?
Well, I guess if we don't reward people for the things that we think are important, we shouldn't be surprised if people do not respond. So I think most human beings, they like to be rewarded for the things they do. So if we do not give the appropriate recognition to teaching, then we shouldn't be surprised if perhaps our professors don't always put as much effort into it as we would like. So the universities often, nowadays, especially the large international universities that are highly ranked, they count publications very much and the quality of those, and rightly so, because universities do contribute to knowledge. But if it's at the expense of then not giving a reward for good teaching, then I think obviously the teaching is going to suffer in those institutions. So what we're really saying, let's go back and remember what we've always done so well, especially in agricultural universities. I think agricultural universities historically have demonstrated that they can make a difference, because agriculture, if you look at food production, the global population has quadrupled in the last 100 years. And even though there's problems with food security, we've made a lot of progress because agricultural universities have been directly involved and our students have been directly involved in making the difference. However, I think in the last while, the emphasis has changed and we've forgotten some of those principles around giving the appropriate reward for good teachers. And now we need to rediscover it. And we're just trying to share examples of where that is done so well, like in your university, and of course other universities within our network. And hopefully by encouraging and supporting, over time we'll get that pendulum to swing back a little bit and to be more appropriate. So there's a more holistic approach that includes the discovery of knowledge, the education, the providing the proper environment for the students to prosper, engaging the students in that research, and making a difference in their local community.
One last very brief question. Do you think in the consortium that is universities from all over the world that you are presiding, do you think you'll find a positive response from them?
Well, we've had, over the last 3 years, we've had a number of workshops and conferences, and it has been very encouraging to hear examples across the world. For example, in China last October, we had, from 6 continents, we had people talking about how their universities were dealing with this challenge. And it was very encouraging because even though each model was different, all of them were focused on the student, creating an environment where the student was at the center, and you're essentially, it's not the professor filling up the vessel with knowledge, it's the professor creating the learning environment so the student is going to achieve their very best. So those examples encouraged me to feel that by sharing them with others, that we can actually start this seed will start to grow into a very much a global movement, and we can look back 10 years from now and say, well, we have made some difference in the world.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Somos agentes de cambio.